Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike Green. I'm one of the owners of 1A Auto. I want to help you save time and money repairing and maintaining your vehicle. I'm going to use my 20 plus years experience restoring and repairing cars and trucks like this to show you the correct way to install parts from 1AAuto.com. The right parts installed correctly. That's going to save you time and money. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
In this video, we're going to show you how to remove the center console on this 1986 Camaro Iroc-Z. This will be similar for all Camaros and Firebirds of this era, although somewhat different for the electronic dash versions, and I'm sure there's some differences in some years and the Pontiacs, etc. And the tools you'll need, and there's a couple stars there because my vehicle, the console had already been kind of cut up because somebody put a different radio in there, and etc. So some of the fasteners were a little different, and they may be different on original vehicles. But basically, you'll need T15 Torx Driver, pliers, a number 1 Phillips screwdriver, which is a slightly smaller screwdriver than a normal one, as well as a regular Phillips screwdriver, flat blade screwdriver, and then 8 and 10 millimeter sockets with a ratchet and extension. Okay. Probably as common to a lot of these vehicles. This car's been used and abused a little bit. You can see the radio's missing. Big massive wires, which I'll have to deal with a little bit later. I plan on just putting a factory radio back in there. But to remove the console where you want to start, you can see somebody put a aftermarket lever on here which just lifts off. I believe if you have the factory shifter basically had a little locking clip that you pull out with a pair of pliers, and then the knob comes up and off. Somebody, if they want to, can post a comment just confirming or explaining better how you do that. And then there's a series of T15 Torx screws. Okay, you can see around my radio and heater controls they used Phillips screwdrivers. They just grabbed probably whatever, and then half of them are missing. But you want to remove the T15 Torx screws, and then you also in here want to remove 2 8mm bolts and then 2 10mm bolts. Okay, you'll also want to pull up on your brake lever, and around this side is a small Phillips head screw that you need to remove. Okay, we'll speed up here as we remove, well, I'm removing 1 Phillips screw, but there's actually 4 T15 screws that hold that plate on, and then the plate around the radio and heater controls comes off. Now 4 more T15 screws. Just remove the 2 front and the 2 rear, and then the plate around the shifter comes off. And once you lift that up, there's a little wire counterclockwise, the bulb comes out. And now use a number 1 Phillips screwdriver to remove the screw in the emergency brake handle, and I just thread that back in there. The button for that should just pull off. And now remove the 8mm and 10mm bolts in the back. Okay, there's 2 screws near the heater control. One there, and then one there, and again this vehicle's been cut, so there could be more underneath the radio. I'll fast forward as I remove those 2 Phillips screws, and again they're Phillips screws in this vehicle. They could be something different in a original vehicle. At this point on this vehicle, I can tell this has all been cut out, so I'm not sure. There may be a couple more screws on an original vehicle, and you may even have to remove the radio. I believe on these vehicles all that's required to removing the radio is to undo a few screws or bolts here. Then the radio should pull forward and you should be able to disconnect all your harnesses. But on this vehicle, like I said, this has all been chopped up. After that's done, you can lift up this part of your console, move it back and up. Okay, you have your switches on the console here, and they're right up into here. the trunk or the rear hatch switch, you just squeeze some tabs and pull those off. The window switches are a little more difficult. You're going to need to use a screwdriver, pry the tabs out, and pull them down at the same time for both sides. Now with that top plate out of the way, you want to unscrew, and again, this car may or may not have the right fasteners. Take out the screws. You want to pull your heater and AC control just kind of out of the way. We'll fast forward again. It's 2 Phillips screws and an 8mm bolt on this vehicle. It might be different on yours. Okay, now with this you can move it around. There's a 8mm bolt right there, where that white wire is behind there, and then another one right over here, and then there's a 10mm bolt here. Okay, it's actually right there, and then 2 10mm bolts right back here. Okay, and we'll fast forward as we remove those 2 8mm bolts and the 3 10mm bolts. Okay, and something I always do is make sure I put the handle in here and all the hardware, just so I can find it easily. And if it had the correct shift knob button on it, I'd put that in there too. We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.oneauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.